Hey everybody, this is Alzorath, and welcome back to Diablo 2. Today we're taking a look at yet another build. Today it's what I called the Infernal Paladin. Yes, basically it's a fire Paladin, which is also sometimes called a ranger and a few other things like that. In the background you can see it's kind of slow at killing Baal. I don't know how long I'm going to have to talk on this part to actually show the killing of Baal, so I am buffering it ever so slightly. But anyway, we've got Baal dying in the background, and then we come back into the main stage here, which is going to show off our Paladin. Yes, this is one of those weird ones where I'm going to say this is just a half of a build, where you could build another half off of it. Because right now, I actually have two skills almost maxed out that I don't even need. So you could do this Paladin build and hybridize it into, say, a Zealot with your offhand, or possibly something else to deal with other things. You could do a Fist of the Heavens on the split. This does not have enough spare points to do a Blessed Hammer Paladin option. It doesn't have enough points for that, so you can't really go there, but you could do a Smiter if you wanted to. Just go in here and have Smite on your alternative. That's a fairly cheap one to get up as far as like points go, so you could do Smite in this. You have about 40 something points left over at level 91 after you've gotten your core skills, so you'd probably be able to get this in your like 50s, maybe 40s. So yeah, this is one that can be completed relatively early on as long as you have the right gear. So first off, let's actually jump into the stats before I get too delved into the skill tree. Strength, enough for your gear. Dexterity, enough for your gear. And Vitality for everything else. I actually stopped putting Vitality whenever I hit 1,000 and put the rest into Dexterity so I could trigger more actual hits with the bow, but that's not really necessary. It's just something that I prefer doing because the impact of it is a little bit better, because if it impacts, it can knock back. It does have ignore target defense. This is more for just like general peace of mind situation. But anyway, that's what we've got there. Right now, I've currently just got battle orders and stuff on the alternative. This is where you'd put your gear for your backup thing. Now, skill-wise, it's going to go into the trees. We actually have fairly straightforward stuff. We're actually going Holy Fire on this because of what the bow we're using, which I'll explain that whenever we get to the gear part. We've got Resist Fire and Salvation up to level 20 and Holy Fire at level 20. That's going to be your main aura setup. You'll end up with extra points, 22 there and 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 20 there. So it was about 42 points. I just have Redemption for health recovery, and I have Fanaticism for if I'm running across a bunch of fire immunes. And this works pretty much everywhere, thanks to a conviction on my mercenary from Infinity, and he's got my usual gear up. It's Infinity, Fortitude, and Dariel's Visage, but conviction makes this a whole lot better. So we have Holy Fire aura on us and stuff like that. The reason I went for Redemption and Fanaticism for dealing with fire immunes, Redemption for just getting my life back. I don't even use mana on this for the most part, so it's not super useful there. Other things you could do with this, like I said, you could do Smite. You could have Smite on alternative and use this as like your main AoE for clearing stuff out, and Smite to kill bosses, which would work out fairly decently. You would have the downside of not having a lot of your gear kind of oriented towards Smite, which like you're not using life tap gloves or anything like that to actually trigger that. So yeah, it's kind of hit or miss on that. Fist of the Heavens, you could have an alternate caster thing, and that would be good for your single targeting as well. You'll do a few thousand damage with the lightning strike, which is more than what you're doing with the bow, so that's pretty good. If you did that, you'd want to do Fist of the Heavens and Holy Shock as far as your like skills there go, and we will be doing a different bow paladin later on that does use something like that. So that's kind of what we're looking at there. I wouldn't go with a zealot necessarily, because you won't really have a lot of points to kind of spread around. You'd end up getting Fanaticism and Zeal at decent levels, but you wouldn't be able to really max out anything else to go with it. So you'd just have a basic zealot rather than a pumped up zealot. So that's kind of hit or miss there. You could get Crushing Blow and make that effective. Avoid Blessed Hammer because you can't get all its synergies. It's not going to do enough damage. It's not going to be the Blessed Hammer that you guys are used to with the various other builds. I don't think I'd go Charged In either. So But yeah, that's kind of where you'd be going with this. This is a really good kind of group build as well because you're able to do decent AoE damage. Now, thankfully, Exploding Arrow is not quite as overpowered as it used to be. Otherwise, this thing would wreck face just like the old Boazons used to. Equipment-wise, I'm just going to go and skip ahead on that. Not all of this is optimal gear. I'm going to mention that the helmet is not optimal gear because I just put it on there because I wanted to use one of these because I never use them for anything. It's Akira's Guardian. Yes, I know people are laughing. It has Cannot Be Frozen on it. That's a plus. It has good resists, which we have resists out the ass. Yeah, it's up there. You could actually boost your cold and lightning resist by raising up your auras in that as well instead of other skills, and you'd have 95% resist across the board for your 3 mains. So that is another opportunity to actually, boost things up there. I think actually it wouldn't be 95 because we actually have a boost there. I think it would be 80 something, like 87, which is still decent, but still. Anyway, Kira's Guardian, we just have it in there. It's got a 35% enhanced damage and a fire damage duel in it. This was actually for something else, but it works well with this as well. So yeah, that's what we're sitting on there. It's a really decent kind of setup there, and that damage gets added to the explosive arrow. If you're wondering why all this fire damage, the bow, which we're using Brand on this one, you could use Kuko Shikaku or Demon Machine as well. Those are your cheaper options. Kuko Shikaku being a good normal bow and Demon Machine being fast like this. I'm using this because it's really easy to get to the max attack speed on it. If you were using a normal bow, you need a lot more increased attack speed, but you can hit a much lower frame rate, so you could fire a lot faster. You just do a little bit less damage because you have less fire equipment. But anyway, Exploding Arrow, the way it works is whether it hits or not, whether the actual arrow hits or not, it explodes. It boom, just explodes on the enemies in the area. If it pierces, it'll explode on each one it hits. But it can only pierce and it can only deal its actual arrow damage if it actually hits. So, and it can only knock back if it actually hits. So you need to be firing it in. We have decent chance to hit though because of the ignore target defense. So, and our level. But you need it to hit to actually have some of the things trigger on it. Whereas you just need the exploding part to do all the fire damage, which we currently have almost 1,000 from the Holy Fire alone on the explosion part. So that's 1,000 damage added to the explosion, plus the base explosion damage from the level of Exploding Arrow, which if I remember correctly on this is level 15. Could be wrong on that. I don't remember for that for certain, but it's a certain level Exploding Arrow on this. It has pretty good stuff there in that regard. Plus, we're transferring all the other fire damage we get from Enchant, from Lava Gout's little base fire damage, from the Inferno Stride, from, well, we don't have any on that. My rings were just rando choices. And yeah, we just have all that fire damage, even from like charms and stuff like that, stacking on top of it. About 1,200 fire damage in an AoE, piercing through. And that's how you get most of your damage. You're not going to be doing a lot of damage to single targets, but if you're like in cows and you're hitting like 4 of them in a row, if you get really lucky with pierces, you get like 3 or 4 in a row, you're going to be doing like $3,000 or $4,000 damage on the explosions alone. And yeah, most of our damage here is that fire arrow. We do have decent actual arrow damage as well because, well, it's a elite bow. So, yay. But anyway, the rest of the equipment, Lava Gout, Inferno Stride, as I said, both these add fire damage. This adds Enchant, which gives us a better chance of hitting with the arrow, which is always lovely. It gives us increased attack speed, gives us a little bit of fire resist and all that fun stuff. Half freeze duration is absolutely useless to us because we cannot be frozen. The Inferno Stride is also more fire damage. It gives us Blaze when struck. It gives us max fire resist. It's nice perks, but we are using it mostly for the fire damage and a little bit of faster run walk. Resists are always welcome. Surprisingly, very few things that deal fire damage actually hurt this build. Kind of figured that one, huh? I've just got my Doom Loop on here. It's my dual leech ring. I keep it on for resists, a little bit of dexterity. It's got dual leech and attack rating, which makes it lovely. It's my favorite ring as far as physical damage dealers go, and we do enough physical damage that it does work for us to an extent. We're not using any mana using skills, but it's fine. Rising Sun, plus 2 fire skills. You could do some other options for this if you wanted to swap out the armor for more physical damage, or if you wanted to switch helmets or something like that. You could switch it over to like Mara's or something like that. You could even use High Lords if you're using a normal bow with Brand. So you'd be able to attack a little faster. You'd have a little less plus skills, but still, you have a few options here. I'm just doing it for more fire damage on the explosion. And you also have a chance to cast Meteor, but I almost never see that proc because I almost never get hit on this character. As far as armor, we're just going with the standard Chains of Honor for resistances and skills. It's my go-to armor. We already covered Kira's Guardian. Razor Tail, piercing attack, 33% chance if memory serves, and that's the main reason to use it. It has some dexterity boost, it has some other stuff like that, and it gives us a little bit of reflective damage, 91 points, so that's nice, I guess. And yeah, it just, the piercing attack is the main reason we're using this, so you can trigger 2 or 3 explosions in a row fairly reliably. So every third arrow we're going to pierce and explode a whole bunch of times, which is lovely. And as far as Carrion Wind, I just threw it on here because why the hell not? I don't think we don't even go below max poison resist without it. I just have it on there because I want to use it because I found it, and it's got Twister on it whenever we strike things. So it can stun things whenever they start crawling up on your butt. You can sit there and just keep spamming, and you will cast out Twisters and stun them temporarily, which buys your mercenary and yourself time. As far as charms, I just have junk charms in here. So they're just there for like extra fire damage, extra attack rating, that kind of stuff. So pretty standard there. And I've left some space for bolts because unfortunately bolts, you only get stacks of 250 on them and you burn through them relatively quick. With arrows, I'd probably, if you had like a vertical bow, you'd actually free up 3 of these slots because you'd have 700 regular arrows in 2 slots versus 750 in 3 slots for bolts. That is an important thing to remember. There really isn't a good magic arrow option for the Paladin on this either, so you're kind of boned there. But I think that's about everything to cover. If you do have questions, ask them, and I will take a look at it. But yeah, you have pretty much the half build with the bow part, and you get to decide what the other half is. I would probably go either Fist of Heaven's Caster on alternative or Smiter. That's my personal choice on it. You could... Zealot would be a third choice. But beyond that, you really don't have enough points to make something super effective. Like Blessed Hammer, you just wouldn't have enough points. But let's go ahead and dive into actually showing this thing off. Pretty much only going to be using the... Oh, wow, we actually have something down here, don't we? Yeah, you guys. You guys are immune to fire. You can see, yeah, they're immune to fire, but we still do okay damage to them. Oh god, those guys hurt like a truck. And why? Oh, I actually did weapon swap there instead of switching to this. So if we wanted to, we could actually do Fanaticism and do some physical damage to the fire immunes. Honestly, we rip things to pieces even without that. Let's kill the ones down here first this time. Mix it up a little bit. See, these guys are immune to fire, but we can actually hit them with the Bone Spear as well. Let's go ahead and just heal while that guy's doing his own thing. And you can see, as far as the groups go, yeah, they get wrecked. Because as you can see, as it pierces through, if I can actually get it to trigger, it deals damage to them multiple times. Let's go ahead and just drink that. Oh, we've got champions, and they died super fast from our mercenary. Our mercenary does murder things. So, see, with the Holy Fire one, we're still doing enough damage that it's not terrible. It's just, eh. But this one generally shines in like cows, if you're wondering what the best scenario for this particular character is. So that's what we're looking at there. But you can see, yeah, we're just still doing decent damage to these guys, just casting it through. Yeah, I wouldn't go on players like more than players 3 or 4 with this, but it's just a fun thing to have, just a ranger. And it really does do amazing in cows. And whenever conviction hits, goodbye, you fools. Yeah, we do need to pick that up. As far as best area to farm with it, I really wouldn't farm with this particular character very often. It's just a fun little distraction. I'm trying to think what my favorite like alternative for this character would be, because there's the Fire Ranger, which is meh. I have a actual physical damage ranger as well. If you guys are curious, that could be actually kind of fun. We could mess around with that. And there is a cold damage, and there is a gold strike Paladin, which is also a lightning one, but it's different than the one I'm thinking of. Gold Strike Arch Paladins are interesting rangers. I really wish they had access to like a +1 strafe or a +2 strafe. Then I'd load that up on plus skills and just have a Fist of the Heavens rain going on. It'd be hilarious to me. Don't know why. But this is what we've got as far as this goes. Regular bows you can actually get up to a faster attack speed on. This thing's got resist out the wazoo because it's a paladin. and you can be pretty happy on it. And if you're wondering what that stuff for, it's for another build I'm thinking of covering. I still need to finish testing on. Mage Wrath is being used by another character currently, though. So, not Mage Wrath. The Ward Bow one. But anyway, if you guys enjoyed this, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you have questions, ask them. If you have a build that you'd like to see come to fruition or a theme for a build you'd like to see, hit me up. I'll see what I can do. If it's absolute garbage, I won't show it off. But if it's fun or interesting or quirky in some way, I absolutely will want to cover it because I do enjoy weird builds. And while I've been exposed to a lot of them, there are ones that come out of the blue and surprise me. Because I have ran one similar to this. It was the Kuko Shikaku variant, but it was a lot of fun, and it kind of like inspired me to take this a little further with the newer stuff, because that was back whenever it was abusive. But anyway, I'm rambling. Keep gaming, have fun, peace out. This has been Alzorath. I'll see you guys next time on Diablo 2. Bye.